2, 3, funky.
Welcome back to week, I think this is episode 4, week 5. We've just finished up the first run of week 5, which was a 13k run. I actually found it quite difficult because I was running in the afternoon again. So it was a little bit hotter, food in the stomach, but we got it done, kept it an easy pace. It was super slow. I'll pop up the run on the screen here. In this week's episode, we're going to be discussing interval runs, why they're in the programming, how they can benefit us, and how to approach them. First, we're knocking back a nice protein shake. I'm trying to up my protein intake. This has got blueberries, strawberries, scoop and a half of vanilla isolate whey. Again, if you want to pick any of this up, I'll leave the link in the description with code MyCoachBenji for discount from MyProtein. I just always stick with vanilla because it mixes easy with everything: oats, shakes, yogurt. And yeah, gonna knock this back. Then we're going to some gardening.
I almost forgot to say, these after every run, random round trees, sensual. Nothing to do with performance glycogen, just it tastes awesome.
We don't grow carrots, how is that possible? Fucking wild, isn't it? Where's that come from?
Tricks of the trade. Airwaves. So run is done. We did 30 minutes at jog. It's a nice slow steady pace, keeping the heart rate around 140, and then we did 30 minutes at the marathon pace, which we're keeping the heart rate went up to about 160, and my marathon pace at the moment is, we're shooting for the 3 hours 30. I am looking for 5k minute pace basically. So the point of these runs when running at marathon pace is that I can get used to the pace that I need to run when I do the actual marathon. I think this is the problem with a lot of people who complete marathon preps, though. They just run every run at the marathon pace, which logically makes sense because if you need to hit a certain pace, you'll go on to continue it. However, it's really difficult to recover from those higher zones where like 160 heart rate to come back down. That's why, like the run that I did on Tuesday this week, like the run that I'll do on Sunday, which is a 29k, I run those at an easy heart rate between 140 to 150 because they're easy to recover from. 70 to 80% of my runs will be those easy runs, just so I can accumulate volume through the feet, get the mindset ready to be running on my own for those longer runs, and also just get the legs used to that amount of volume going through them. The other thing that I'll be throwing in from next week will be the interval / hill running. Another one just to make sure that you don't fuck up on with the hill runs is don't go 100% all the time. Don't go all out on every single hill run because you'll never recover from them. Heart rate will go too high, you won't be able to get back down, you'll just essentially be garbaged. So with those ones, don't go 100%. Go hard on the hill runs intervals, obviously, because that's what's going to help us build that aerobic base, increase our level of fitness, so that when we go back into the easy runs, it means that we're running at a quicker pace. So they're going to be going from next week. Just like with the run that I finished on last week, which is the race run, they're often hard to recover from. You're going to be more fatigued. The next day, joints are going to be a little bit sore. So just be mindful of how much you're pushing through with those harder runs or interval runs. Also, just a quick tip, I use the airwaves at the start of every single run just to help open my airwaves up a little bit, but then about halfway through I just try and toss the chewy out or put it in the bin, just because it upsets my breathing a little bit. Like when I'm talking sometimes and I'm trying to run, I just can't do it.
Major cruise lines have started removing testing requirements and more.
It's one thing that I didn't mention from last week. What did you get me?
A holiday to Florida Disney.
I've literally just randomly walked into the office one day. I was doing some work and was like, look at this phone.
Okay, so there's one picture and then swipe. Shut your eyes. Let me put this in your hand. Yeah.
You joking?
No, it's just all been paid for. 11 nights.
It's a joke.
No, it's real.
I can't even believe it.
We get-
I actually can't even believe it, yeah.
Look how much I'm shaking.
I can't, it's not sinking in. I can't believe you actually booked it.
We're going back! But for 12 days, not 14. Yay.
And she rebooked the holiday, the dream holiday that we went on last year. If you've not watched it yet, I think I can pop it up on screen or leave the link below to when we went to America and just ate everything and drank everything in sight, which is amazing. But we're going to go back to there
And
in March.
got
We're
engaged, now
yeah.
we're going 2 months before the wedding.
But also, today is BBQ day. So again, as part of the Unwind series, we've got our social occasion, which we've planned our training around. So that's why I'm going for a run this morning. We've got burgers, buns, LD's been to Costco, got all the drinks in. We've also got all the meat here that are going to be going on the Traeger, which I'll show you later. The Traeger is an absolute fuck feast, by the way. Unbelievable. Pastas, meats, and of course we've got the beers, some Coronas. Lucy's also brought some dessert for after the barbecue if anyone hasn't ate themselves into oblivion. Brownies, donuts. It's gonna be a good day. Big run day. Like I mentioned before with the Unwind series, one of the big things that we're doing is scheduling our training around the social occasions. So that's exactly what we're doing this weekend. We're having a friend over for barbecue, a few drinks, bit of food. So I'm gonna get the 29k run done this morning. I haven't ran, bit of mark on my seat, bit of dust. I haven't ran this far since I got injured last time, so touch wood, I'm able to get through this amount of volume. It's gonna be an easy run. Gonna try and keep the heart rate between 140, 150. I've got a podcast ready I'm gonna be listening to. So we're going for like 2 hours 45, it's like 3 hours. So got a good podcast ready, which I'll always do when I'm running. I don't like listening to music, I've got really long runs. And then in the pack today, we've got 2 of the MyProtein energy gels. And these are like 100 calories each, just pure carbs. I like these ones though, they sit well on the stomach. Orange flavour, tastes nice, easy to carry on the go. I'll leave these again linked in the description with code MyCoachBenji for Dizzy. And the only thing I've had this morning is a bagel with a bit of honey on. I can't eat too much before I go for runs. Just tend to sit around on my stomach too much. So, wish me luck. Another one bite of dust. 29k underneath the belt, and felt like, as you can probably see in comparison to last week, I'm not that sweaty, I'm not that tired, I'm not that fatigued, and that's because it was an easy run, keeping the heart rate around 150, but the distance was almost triple. And that's the difference what I was speaking about yesterday when we were at the track, is the difference between those hard runs and the easy runs, and why we shouldn't be pushing so hard all the time. Because when I was running that run then, I could have kept going and going and going. I felt like my aerobic base in a really good place at the moment. I could keep pushing, but my legs muscles, joints, knees, ankles didn't have the capacity to keep really pushing. I almost felt like a car which had a good engine in it, but really shitty wheels, so I was pulling it along all the time. And that's just because I haven't ran that kind of distance probably for the last 5 or 6 months, so it was good to get in the tank, and that's why 70 to 80% of my runs going to be slow, easy, long runs, just to put the volume through. The other thing I was thinking about was a comment that someone called Jed left on a YouTube video last week. It was a really valid question. It was about like, 1, was eating enough, and 2, something around like telling you my calories. The reason why I don't really count calories at the moment is just because of my history of eating disorders. I find that at the moment it's much easier for me to go off performance, energy levels, recovery, how I'm feeling. I can still roughly guesstimate, but I don't count down to the dot. The other thing is, like, before runs I don't eat too much. Like, I just had a bagel this morning before almost 30k. For a lot of people that might not seem a lot. However, it's usually the evening before that I'm really fueling. So yesterday I went for a Nando's with the boys, had a chit chat, had a big meal, like 9 o'clock, fueled me for the day. But now it's time for the post-run treats.
Brown trees, lime juice, winner.
This week's unwind occasion consisted of some good food, barbecue, beers with the boys, and watching Everton get trashed as usual. But there was also an element of self-control this week, which meant I didn't have too many beers and I felt pretty fresh the next day.
We're still here with these. I look tiny.
They look tiny anyway, so yeah, don't do that in your hand.
These social occasions are really important for me and a big part of this program, because I think a lot of the time we allow busy to be our normal. So this week, see how you feel when you stop celebrating or idolizing being busy and celebrate time spent enjoying the things that you want to do, not what you think society or socials want you to. Time with friends, family, exercising, or just doing nothing.
Which brings us to the end of this week's video, which I'm just currently finishing editing off. And the point of this week's video was obviously about how we can run slower to run faster. And what I mean by that is, like I mentioned, a lot of my runs are going to be slow, steady runs, putting volume through the legs, and not always going as hard as I can, because a lot of people will do that. They'll go out every run and try and beat their previous time. And what tends to happen when we do that is that we get bored, fed up, every run feels super difficult, fatiguing, difficult to recover from. And that's where you become, and I'm still becoming, more of an intelligent runner by sticking to the program that's in front of me and realizing that hard doesn't always mean better. Looks like it's going to be super hot weather for the next week or so coming up as well, so just a reminder, if you can, try and get the runs done in the morning when the weather isn't as hot, because heart rate is definitely going to be spiked when the weather is a lot hotter. Number 2, try and wear some clothing which isn't black and a little bit more lightweight. And 3, try and keep hydrated as possible. And the last thing that I usually do is when the weather's super hot when I'm running, to try and not, as much as we need to, go off heart rate as much, and try and go off the metric of, for easy runs, if you can hold a conversation, that is the kind of pace that we want to try and stick to, because the heat is just going to absolutely annihilate you and your heart rate. Hope that you enjoyed this week's video. If you did, please drop it a like and a thumbs up. And if this is your first time visiting the channel, or you're watching the series and not subscribed yet, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you can, please visit the Just Giving link for the London Marathon. Next week, we're going to be traveling. We're going to be down in London. So see you then.
Done finna jump for the shit. Up top when I speak, all cap with the speech to the cut.